All right, and hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Inven Global Podcast. My name is Nick Durazio, Director of Corporate Strategy at Inven. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You guys already know. I am your host, and I am joined by my co-host, Eric Gindele, business boy, business manager, the biz, as I call him, at Inven Global. And we have a very special guest, my good friend, and someone who I think if you are not following for the straight dope about what's going on in terms of esports marketing and what's going on in terms of like the teams that do social media right, the teams that do social media wrong, it is Chao of LA Gladiators. Joy, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So, Joy, you are the director of marketing, or is it marketing director? Is there any difference?
I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Director of marketing.
Probably.
Just 3 words.
Probably. So what is that job? Like, what do you even do? What is your like what could you do to destroy the Gladiators franchise? Do you have that power?
Well, I created the Gladiators franchise. So I guess, but pretty much what we work on is I handle all the marketing and all the elements that go into it for KSE Esports. So that's not just the Gladiators in the Overwatch League, that's also the Gorillas in the Call of Duty League, and if we move into other games, that will also cover that.
Wow.
So we've got, pretty much all the elements. There is a parts people normally think about, like, the social media, there's the content, everything that goes out there, but then
all the
there's
normies
also,
like me, that's what I think of when I think director of marketing, but there's so much more you're saying.
Oh yeah, there's the public relations, the press, the stuff the training with the media. There's the community side, which especially because we're a local, like city-based franchise, we've got the in-person community and we've also got the online global community. And so there's just like so many elements to it.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, things seem to be going well. I feel like you guys, and we're going to get into some news with Overwatch teams. So, and we're going to get into some news about some of the blunders that's been happening. Man, it has been a busy week, actually, in terms of esports fails. At the end of the show, every week, we have an esports wins and esports fails. There's going to be plenty of fails this week. But anyways, as you all know, we usually talk about what games we've been playing. So I'm going to start. I've actually been playing Fall Guys, and I say playing Fall Guys because I'm a boomer and I just watch games. I don't actually like play, but I've watched so much Fall Guys. I feel as if I have tricked my brain into thinking that I'm playing along. Like seriously, I'm like, I have never been more entranced with an online video game than Fall Guys. I just think it's incredible.
Yeah, I actually got my hands on it because it was free for PlayStation Plus. It's cool. It's fun. I'm not super big into like the battle royale game genre in general, but this is a cool take on it. It's a game show basically.
Yeah. See, to me, it reminds me of a Mario Party like mini game. Yeah. But then taken to the extreme. It's like they just said, you know what, forget it. We're going to take the most fun aspect of a game that's like, it's so low stakes, and that's what I love. I feel like I've been very stressed lately, so just watching this so low stakes game, people, even if they fall off, whatever, just start the next game. It's so chill. I can just watch the stream and laugh, and it's such a good time.
And it's definitely less of like a time commitment than like a Fortnite or whatever, where, you're spending all this time just kind of running around, like getting resources, like camping out, like just to die like 20 minutes later. I don't know how long a Fortnite match is, honestly. But it's super cool, like in and out.
Joy, how do you feel about the battle royale genre, or this concept that even Fall Guys is now playing with, this one versus many? Have you ever fallen into that in terms of your own gaming habits?
I mean, I don't play many games. I do watch games more, but I mean, with Fortnite, I did play a little bit of Fortnite, which is back then, that was a new take where they're like, oh, there's building and all of that. Yeah. Fall Guys, I haven't checked out yet. I want to, actually. I was looking at it right before this stream. Yeah. But honestly, because I think their community management has been really good. Like, it's all the buzz. They're doing a really good job of getting their brand awareness out there because everyone's talking about it and everyone's like they're already posting themselves streaming and playing that game, and all the memes. And I don't know if you guys saw earlier, I think it was today, their community manager was like, I don't handle the servers, I'm the community manager. So
yeah, because they were having server issues like first 2 hours that it was live or something. Mm-hmm. They had to like issue apologies and stuff. They got like review bomb for like a bit.
I did see that. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's interesting that you say they've been doing so well in terms of their communication, because I live on Twitter as well, and I just every esports team is making a joke about going pro and Fall Guys, and there's so much organic banter there. And I actually saw someone compare it to Valorant's big launch, or was it Valorant? Yeah, but Valorant's launch was it cost so much. Riot spent so much money on all those influencers and all those drop campaigns, and they pretty much took over Twitch. But Fall Guys, on comparison, they haven't done any of that. It's been so organic. It's been so much more organic. And from my understanding, that's how do you even do that, right? It seems as if Devolver Digital keeps winning in this way of we're just going to do it our own style. We're going to do it our own guerrilla style. We're not going to pay all these huge influencers. We're not going to spend all this money. And yet they repeatedly win over these giant corporations. I'm very curious. Eric, have you seen some of the stuff they've been doing online, and just how much buzz there has been about this game is crazy?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely the big stream game right now. But yeah, I mean, it's the same way that Rocket League, got the buzz that it needed to really take off and become what it is today. It was PlayStation Plus free game when it launched. You had to buy it everywhere else, and just kind of accessing that amount of players, for a game that's very easy to understand at a first glance, very easy to recommend. It's cool. I will say my biggest problem with the game was there's not just the solo matches where you're just kind of running through and trying to just not be eliminated, but there's also team games, and doing that with randos for with 10 randos or something. It's such a flip of the coin, because you're oh, I got Timmy the 3-year-old on my team, he's gonna be dead weight this whole time.
You're dead weight, keep up.
Yeah, and there's no voice chat or anything, not that you would want there to be voice chat, but
I mean, I think, okay, first of all, I think that would be hilarious if there was voice chat in Fall Guys. But anyways, we're stuck on Fall Guys. Eric, what games have you been playing during month 85,000 of quarantine? I've lost all track of space and time. It doesn't matter.
Besides trying out Fall Guys, I got into Monster Train, which is Slay the Spire, kind of. It's roguelite card, a deck builder game. Super good. Just pouring tons of time into that. It's kind of my new gaming hole, I guess. Gross.
Your new gaming hole, quote Eric Gindele, 2020.
Yeah.
New gaming hole. Good. Nice.
And Monster Hunter World I'm starting to get into too. I'm not big into MMOs or anything, and it kind of has elements like that, but I've got friends that are have put hundreds of hours into that game, and they're kind of jumping at the opportunity to be oh yeah, we can totally show you what's up. So yeah, those are kind of the two that I'm doing right now.
Joy, how about you? What is currently on your gaming plate?
Well, currently all I have with myself is a little ThinkPad and my Switch, actually. So it's all been about Animal Crossing. I was playing a lot more earlier in quarantine. I was putting in hours every day. So much time. It's died down a lot because one of my best friends was using her roommate's Switch, and they moved out. So now I'm not really playing with her as much. But yeah, it was about Animal Crossing, and I was saving all the tweets from Japanese Twitter where they're here are my designs. They're so creative.
So you were one of those power users. You probably have infinite money.
Yeah.
Right? You're probably operating on a whole another level. Your island probably has gold everything.
I have the 5-star Lily of the Valley that just suddenly sprouted, and I quite honestly don't know how I got it.
Wow.
Because I don't even know when I got it.
No, yeah, because I've seen like guides and stuff online, like, oh, you have to be like very specific with like which flowers you put next to each other, and you have to like water it a certain amount of time.
What is this, Lily of the Valley? I've looked this up. Lily of the Valley.
Like, that's pretty crazy that you just.
You can only get it if you've got 5-star on your island, but I don't know how to get 5 stars because I'm actually a very chaotic person. Like my title on the game is Chaotic Grandma because I can't embody who I am as a person.
Well, this Lily of the Valley is so discreet. It's so beautiful.
That's what was coming out when people were trying to get like 5 stars and stuff. They figured out as long as you just have a bunch of shit on your island, you can just get to 5 stars. It doesn't matter how good it looks. Like you can just have like a bunch of like bonfires like on every square inch of your island.
No,
oh my god,
5 stars. It's not like a hellscape that you've created for your villagers and stuff.
Oh god,
but that's cool.
You know what? I should have mentioned I feel like Animal Crossing. Like, I don't even view it as a game anymore because it's actually my life. Like, my body is here, but my mind is on my island. My soul's on my island. Like, that's where my actual, like, spirit lives.
Are you still doing your dailies?
So, yes. And I've actually created a fighting game esports arcade within my island.
Really?
So it's been like my magnum opus. Like, the moment that I realized that there are fighting game cabinets that you can collect in the game, and then I realized you can make custom designs, and then I realized, well, in theory, then I could probably draw a bunch of game art, and then I saw that there were trophies. Oh, okay, and then it just started like I realized that is my dream. So, Joy, you should come visit my island.
I will.
Because
add me after
it's pretty esports authentic, I'd say.
In the older games, you could actually play the games that were on those.
No way, really?
Yeah, like old Nintendo games and stuff, but they took that out.
Dude, shout out to Super Mario RPG. Real ones will know. There's that one mini game inside the game, and you have to get like X amount of hits, and you get the secret item. Anyways, I miss my Super Nintendo. That's what I'm trying to say. I wish I was back in Arizona.
What happened to it?
Well, it's back home. It's back home in Arizona. All of my family. Yeah. But anyways, on to the bad news, the sad news. But in my kind of poop all over Blizzard every episode, I swear I don't try to. This isn't something I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I'm not just reporting the news.
Yes, thank you, Joy. I'm not trying to sit. I don't have an agenda, and yet here I am saying once again, Activision Blizzard employees are sharing their salaries in an internal spreadsheet, and they're not happy. Not only are they not happy, there are some pretty cringeworthy quotes and confessions going on. There are people talking about they're getting paid in WoW game time in lieu of actual pay raises or the compensation they asked for. There's people saying that they're practically living out of their cars and that they can't afford rent. There was someone saying that a QA position, I think, was paying $30,000 a year, which is just...
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like $30,000 to $40,000 a year, and it just makes no sense because, like, you know, obviously the other side of the story is, what's his name? Bobby Kotick? I always mispronounce. Yeah, I always say his last name wrong. This dude's racking in like, you know, $45 million a year. He's giving himself bonuses, giving all of the other guys bonuses. It's just crazy. Like, I never thought it would actually be this bad, but yeah, it's bad. And I'm sure, Joy, you've seen it all over Twitter, right? It's been an absolute a dumpster fire. What do you have to think about this whole situation? Like, how do we even talk about this story? What is the actual big news here? Do you think Blizzard is...
I think... Yeah. Well, yeah, I think there's just been... First of all, I think the reporting is important, right? Yep. Like, it's important to have that transparency so people can be aware, like, this is how this particular company is, especially for those who maybe that's their dream company, or having an understanding of... I think this kind of goes hand in hand with, there was another conversation recently about how esports is a passion industry.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're like, it's a nuanced conversation because I understand the point they were trying to make, but at the same time, I think stories like this and being transparent about these things helps people who may or may not have that experience understand how not to be taken advantage of and how to be able to get their worth and to be able to even make a livable income, because I mean California is extremely expensive, and $30,000 is not enough to survive.
Not even close.
So that's like ridiculously low.
I think too.
Blizzard's. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, please, Eric. I was just gonna rant. Please, Eric.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say Blizzard's dishing out those passion bucks for their QR testers and stuff. Like, yeah, this is worth something, right? And like, not really.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that Blizzard was just banking on the kind of fact that not a lot of employees do divulge like their salaries to one another. It's kind of like become this taboo thing. Like nobody really wants to talk about it because like,
it's grounds to be fired too. Like that's the thing, is like it's grounds to be fired. And part of, like, sorry to interrupt, but part of the big story about this is these employees are unionizing. I mean, there's 900 Blizzard employees all getting together and they're making demands now. And
well, sorry, one thing, because I want to correct you on that.
Oh, please.
I don't think it's grounds to be fired. Actually, in the state of California, if you are terminated for talking about your salary, that's illegal.
Really?
Yes. So you have that protection. Workers in California have actually a lot of rights, and so your employee is not allowed to tell you that you cannot talk about your salary. They are not allowed to stop you. They're not allowed to threaten you about any of that.
See, now
so
that is
absolutely, I do want your viewers to all know this.
No, good.
Yeah.
That is actually something that makes the story even more a nuance, because some of the stories that have been coming out are saying that like they have been dissuaded. Like it has kind of been the company culture to not really talk about it. So, man, I'm glad to see that the law is on these employees' sides here. But I think it's a very interesting moment because a lot of the other, and I guarantee Blizzard's not the only game company that pays this low or probably has these type of conditions, but I think a lot of other employees in the industry are looking at these 900 Blizzard employees and saying, I hope they get their demands met, right? Like, I hope this is a big W for workers' rights, because, like we all know, the games industry it's not been a nice place to work in for the past 8 months. A lot of stuff has, come to light. We've talked about the sexual assault. We've talked about the workplace harassment, and I think too, this has been a big part of it. It's been a lack of transparency and these power structures that, they're saying that right here, Bobby Kotick had a $40 million compensation in 2019, and yet some of his employees, people who make that game, anyways, it's just absolutely crazy. Eric, what are your kind of last thoughts on this? What do you think is going to be the big takeaway from this?
It's probably just similar to like when we talk about crunch and stuff. It's all like these social pressures that you create within like the company. Like, oh, Johnson's been working on this, like he's been staying late and he's got 3 kids. Like, you tell me you're just gonna like go home at like 6:00 and not work on this? It's probably the same thing. It's like nothing enforceable, but like your managers and the people around you kind of make you think that you're going to get in trouble for not doing this, or if it comes to a decision, like, are they going to pick that guy over me when he's been staying late and I haven't been? Just stuff like that. It's shitty, but
it's true.
It starts at the top.
Yeah, and it promotes the sort of sacrifice that only benefits the company, right? And I feel as if now, it's probably the internet, it's probably social media culture, it's just probably the way in which people divulge more and more of their personal lives online. I think now in the West, we've always been weird talking about money. This is something that I've learned from all of my travel over in China. They're not weird talking about money at all. One of the first things that anyone asks me whenever I go to China, they ask, oh, so how much you make? Like, oh yeah, that's a good job. How much do they pay you? And it was like, to me, as a, like as an American, there's this weird ingrained like, oh, well, we don't really talk about it. But why? There is no reason. It's just because there is that culture of always favoring the businesses. By the way, speaking of businesses that are doing things right, have you guys seen Riot gave all their employees the week off?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What for?
Yeah, and you know what? I can't help but think Riot always seems to do things the moment Blizzard is under attack. Like seriously, like this has been happening ever since they released that giant lineup of games at the same time that the whole, do you think you have phones, and the whole Diablo fiasco was going. I just keep thinking that Riot is just absolutely winning here. You know, in the same breath of all this conversation, they are now once again the leaders who everyone wants to work at. Not to mention, these rioters have been sharing their salaries too, astronomically high, so much higher than Blizzard employees.
I feel like, I don't know if it's luck or anything, but it's always been very opportune timing for when Blizzard fucks up, and Riot is able to be there and be like, hey, we're not fucking up as bad.
It's
like
always...
even with like the LEC stuff, that was like last week with that big fuck up with the
that was Blizz.
Yeah,
that was last week.
Yeah, but like that probably shouldn't have happened to begin with, you know? Like,
you know,
but yeah, and then like when Blizzard was like fucking up with like Warcraft 3 and like all that other bad stuff that kind of came out of like BlizzCon and like the employee stuff, and then Riot was just like, oh, we're just going to announce like 15 games right here. And they're like, oh yeah, Riot's cool.
One of the actual things, and we'll move on to our other kind of somewhat a Blizzard-related story. I swear I'm just reporting the news here. One of the actual demands of these employees were that, hey, you need to do something to stop all of our mentors and bosses from going to Riot. And like they actually said Riot by name, and that's no surprise. You've seen some of, in terms of esports, all of the people who I followed into my esports career that then worked for Blizzard, and they're all gone. Like literally everyone that I knew from those old days of Blizzard, all of them are gone, and all of them have left. And I've heard that it's just a domino thing. Now all of the people that were then mentored by those people who kind of like knew, they're all leaving too. So all of these younger employees, they're left. They've almost been abandoned by the mentors and leaders that then brought them up. So all in all, it's a bad time to be a hashtag BlizzTurn. I hope that still works out. From the whole Blizzard intern is their most positive bit of PR right now. Being a Blizzard intern is still viewed as some like magical experience, so I'm good for that. Speaking of things that are viewed as a magical experience, what do you think about that segue, Eric?
It's like a 6.
Maybe a 6 out of 10. I try to have good segues. Yeah. Dallas Fuel replaces Arrow coach with Young in a decision that both made fans very, very happy, but at the same time made them very, very disappointed. So if you guys don't know, Dallas Fuel has just been marred with problems and with operational problems ever since they kind of went on the scene. There has always been issues with their head coaches. I believe they got rid of Kai in like 2018 or something, and now Arrow, who was a controversial coach. Pretty much every problem that ever happened with Fuel, there was always a very loud base of people saying, it's Arrow! Arrow's the problem! Get rid of Arrow! And I guess now finally Fuel has listened. But the problem is they also got rid of Decay, one of their most talented players, and it's the exact same story that happened with Effect. There's this trend of Dallas Fuel picking up supremely talented Korean players, then mismanaging them to the point of exhaustion, burnout, and to the point where these players don't even want to play. And then they blame the players for not playing, and then they kick the players out right after the trade window ends. So now these talented players are left with nothing. And that's the exact same thing that happened with Effect, and now it's happened with Decay. Actually, it wasn't Effect, was it? What was the other guy's name? Rascal, there you go. I'm getting the two mixed up. Yeah. Effect also left Fuel for other horrible reasons, but this whole story and this whole thing is... What do you guys think of it? What do you guys think of Fuel and their constant woes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm no OWL expert and stuff, but I feel like Dallas Fuel was like built off of the idea that, you know, we're just going to sign some of the more popular players and streamers and stuff like that. And, you know, with that comes just a lot of personality. You know, there's a reason why a lot of these players became so popular as they did and everything. And when you kind of cram all that personality into a single team and, you know, expect people to work together as well as they should be, I guess it just doesn't happen. And when, especially like putting all the pressure onto a coach to handle all of that at the same time, I can kind of see where, you know, the seams kind of start falling apart. So,
yeah. Joy, what do you think about Fuel?
I mean, I think there's like 3 parts to this, right? Like there's the management of the team management. Then there's the players themselves and the coaches. And then there's also the PR side. And I think that just throughout the past 3 years, we've seen that there's been a struggle there. You know, in the first season, you had Fuel players who were internally arguing with each other, but they would blast that publicly on social media instead of having maybe a private discussion. And then at the same time, Aero is getting a lot of the heat. And I think we're seeing that, to be fair, like that happened to like the Charge last year. We're kind of seeing that with the Gladiators right now. But when the fan base tends to pile on and just try to blame one specific segment, and whether they say it's the coach or something else, right? I think that's when, from like a press and from a management standpoint, you have to stand out and kind of try to be a little more transparent about your objectives and what you're trying to accomplish. Because from the Gladiators' point of view, like this is honestly a growth year. This is a rebuilding year because there was a management transfer last year, and part of the idea is to be able to equip your coaching staff with success and say, if we believe in them, we have to give them the tools they need to succeed. And at the same time, if that's what Fuel was trying to do with Aero, I think they had to be a little more clear about that. Because, you know, what the fans are seeing is you're keeping someone who may or may not be showing us the results that we want, right? Because they were performing relatively well at the beginning of this year. I would say every time they fight really hard, but then they lose, and I think that feels even worse.
So demoralizing
for their fans,
for sure.
Right. So I think it's just like there's several different areas that they're struggling in, and I don't really know much about their internal workings, but those are the things I diagnosed.
You know, I've heard comparisons to the Vancouver Titans story that came out maybe 2 months ago, and you know, that story was another case of, you know, you bring on these supremely talented players, but there's a core lack of empathy and understanding of what it takes to then manage these players and take care of them. And I can't help but think that, you know, not to blast envy or anything, but I do think that envy comes from kind of like the old school style of thinking when it comes to esports. And I probably, and this is purely just speculation, I feel as if they probably developed some bad habits that were not made as public and not made as big of a deal back in those old esports days, because, you know, Twitter wasn't really a thing, and just, you know, like, people weren't as transparent. There wasn't even as many esports journalists to even make a big fuss about this. Fans weren't as vocal. It just wasn't that thing. But now, you know, we see that there is a trend here, and it's like, you know, personally, I think that's what they need to, from a PR perspective, I think that's what they need to get out in front and say. I think they need to make very clear, okay, why is it supposedly you say that Decay just refused to play? Well, why is that, right? Like how can you bring a player like Decay, who was so passionate and who was so good at the game, and how do you run him in the ground so much where he is refusing to play? Because I just think it's a huge cop-out when they made that tweet and they pretty much like blamed him. It's like they were trying to blame the player. It's like, no, it's your job to manage that player, right? So, you know, the same thing happened with Vancouver Titans.
I mean, and each time too, sometimes I also see certain tweets when they're dropping people, and I wonder, and I'm like, who wrote that tweet? Because some of these feel personal, right? Like with Hastro's tweet, it was very obvious Hastro wrote it, because he just continued to comment underneath what Dallas Fuel's official account was saying. But, you know, at some point, I think there has to be a decision, like, should I be commenting further on this situation? Did I need to dive into this? And should I have continued to imply that this player we dropped was a diva when
they're very defensive.
His mouth shut and making himself look good.
Yeah,
right?
They're a very defensive team like that. You know, they're very quick to, you know what? And okay, now this is the real hot tea, because this has only happened 2 hours ago. Joy, I think you made a very, very prescient point about it seems as if who's ever running the social media feels personal, because it's actually come to light today that the official Dallas Fuel account has just been blocking people. Like, the official Dallas Fuel account are blocking people who are either angry with their players or you know, kind of our next topic, Harry Hook, which is another Dallas Fuel story. But like, I think you're on to something there. It seems like whoever has the keys to the social media, like I heard that they were literally getting in fights with other social media managers of like tier 2 esports, of like tier 2 and tier 3 Overwatch teams, and then as a result they just block them. So like, can you imagine that? Can you like imagine blocking people on an official org account? Like, what message does that even send?
Is that not an S tier strategy to just to block people on social media?
I mean,
That's crazy.
I mean, yes. I mean, Eric, as an individual, yes, but it's kind of like the Barbara Streisand effect. They block these people, and then the people then take the screenshot that Dallas Fuel has blocked them, and now everyone's laughing at Dallas Fuel because, like, really? You're blocking your fans when they criticize you? It's just a bad look.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say even on like an individual like standpoint, I feel like blocking people is never like the best thing you could do. It's definitely the easiest thing you could do, but by blocking someone, you're kind of giving the power to them. Be like, oh yeah, you won. Or like, you know, I listen to like a lot of podcasts and stuff about like I listened to this Your Mom's House with like Tom Segura. He's like a famous comedian. Okay. He talked about like blocking people and stuff. Obviously he deals with this stuff a lot more, but he says like when he blocks people, you're giving them exactly what they want, because it's like you said something so shock and like shitty and all this stuff, and you just want attention, and like by getting blocked, you're getting exactly that. So
Joy, how long is your block list on Twitter?
You know, I actually don't even know if I blocked anybody, because here's my personal thought is like, this Twitter, I started using it because I entered esports. I had it for years, but I never really used it until esports, and so I treat it as like my public persona, right? Because Twitter is basically the LinkedIn for esports. And from that point of view, like if there's people who are sending harassing tweets, fortunately I've never received those. But if I see people like just blasting on like, I don't know, they were back when everyone was coming forward with their different Twitlonger stories about sexual abuse and all of these things. If I see people making shitty comments over and over again, I just kept on reporting all of them. I was just doing the reporting, so I was like, then I don't have to see it. Eventually it goes to the bottom, so they don't have to see it. Like, that's what I do. And then I have a separate Twitter where I don't follow anything about gaming. And so that's where I go when I want to have like an esports.
Oh my god, that is so smart. I need to do that. Joy, that is so next level.
Like, self-satisfying things and like, you know, just like things that make me happy.
Yeah, we got it. It's your porn.
Okay. No, okay. That is such a good idea, though. I haven't even. I really need to do that. I need to. Because you know,
it's a good idea.
You know, Eric, to your point, in esports and kind of influencer culture, you're absolutely right. Like, people, when they get blocked by someone important, it's a status symbol. Like, people love it. Like, people share it on their banner. People show it off, and then all of their followers are like, oh yeah, who, you know, because it's like, yeah, you got them upset, right? It is kind of weird how there is this kind of war going on between.
There's this famous game developer. I think his name is Hideki Kamiya. He works for Platinum Games, and he is like notorious for blocking people. Like, he'll if you say anything to him on Twitter, he'll just block you, like no matter what. His block list must be like thousands of people. But yeah, he was doing like a Kickstarter for one of his games, and one of the tiers was get blocked by Kamiya. Like, it was like an honor or something.
So
and then
great branding.
The highest tier was that he would unblock everyone on his block list. So
wow.
People are trying to get it up there. But I totally get it with like, it's kind of like a status symbol if you take it that way.
Well,
I will say that you have the right to like curate your own experience. So if it is your like who blocked a lot of people? Thorin, I think, was one of them, right?
Yeah, Thorin and Richard Lewis blocked tons of people.
Yeah, and a lot of other people have been blocking multiple people, but like in general, Chrissy Teigen, one of them, right? If you don't want to go through the effort of creating a separate Twitter and you want to be able to enjoy your own experience, then I think that is more power to you. It's just you can't control how the person you block will react, right? Like, maybe they will make fun of you, but maybe you don't care. then that's your decision, right? Like you curate your own experience.
For a while when I was playing Overwatch, just like quick match and stuff, I was making it a mission to like block every single person that I played with, just because like the chat was so bad, like just for quick match and stuff. I was like, and then I would get so happy when I would like go in, try to block everyone, and there would be like one person that I had already blocked. I'm like, it's starting to loop around.
It's starting to loop.
I don't think I ever got close, but
well, speaking of people who've been blocked ad nauseum lately, another Dallas Fuel player mismanagement story. So Harry Hook just, I don't know, went on a misogynistic rant. I mean,
it's pretty bad.
I guess to give the full context of the story, apparently he was arguing with someone over his personal life and dating. And Harry Hook had very strong opinions about he can do whatever he wants and blah, 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 blah. And he was very just overall misogynistic and sexist, right? Now, here's the thing. At first, I gave him the slightest benefit of the doubt because I'm like, this is a personal DM between someone and maybe it was a super big fight. Who knows? We all lose a temper, right? It was a slight benefit of the doubt. And then, nope, he then goes on Twitter and then doubles down on everything he says.
Triples down.
Yeah, like triples down even, and starts literally like saying, no, like I'm defending everything. Not only am I defending it, but he was like literally commenting on to everyone, like to anyone who said anything. It was a bad look. So obviously, I'm Dallas Fuel. I'm lets him go. So in terms of like, you know what, Fuel, that's probably the right call. But again, you have to ask yourself, what is going on in Fuel? What is going on in terms of their media training? What is going on in terms of the way that they advise and mentor their players to then like navigate this strange new world that they have placed them in? Dallas Fuel is the one who like recruited these players, made them pseudo esports famous, gave them the fans, and it seems as if there's just zero accountability to what these players do. And the moment the players are in any way, shape, or form a detriment to the team, they get kicked off. So there's, this is a bad look for everyone. It's a bad look for Fuel. We don't really need to go into too much about how Fuel was managed because we've already talked ages about this. But man, I can't believe in 2020 someone would just double down like that. Like even in terms of like, sure, say you're this like sexist asshole. Even in terms of the strategy of keeping your job, why would you double down so much? Have you guys seen this story?
Oh yeah. It's bad. But we've seen countless stories like this before, so yeah. I'm not entirely surprised that it happened.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, it's wild because I think part of social media and part of being a public figure on social media, I think the number one thing is knowing when to keep your mouth shut, right? There's no need to unsay what has not been said. And so
that's
I think,
wise.
First of all, was him not understanding when or when not to do that, right? Because instead of coming out and kind of apologizing, he did the opposite of an apology. I think all the comments were like, this is by far the worst apology I've ever seen. It can't even be classified as an apology. And I saw some of his supporters come out and say like, well, he's Spanish.
I saw that.
It's like, I'm European, so I can be a sexist misogynist, right? Like, that's not an excuse at all.
Sure. Yeah.
Because, because you're playing on an American team, and then, like you have American fans, I understand what they were trying to say. It's such a feeble and stupid argument, but I understand why someone would make the feeble, stupid argument because, yes, there are parts of the world that are so extremely racist and sexist that, people try to say, well, that's just how it is there. And then now we, as a country that is trying to push back, at least socially, on the racism and sexism that is rampant within all of these things, we are viewed as, they're just crazy PC Americans. Like, I get what they're trying to say, but I think on, like, the bigger picture, like, no, maybe you just shouldn't be a sexist asshole. Like, maybe that should just be the thing you strive for, even if you're Spanish. I can't believe they even brought that up. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyways, Harry Hook, who knows what you're going to do now, right? I mean, you don't have a team, and I doubt anyone's going to get you a team. So I actually once had an interview with Harry Hook, And, he seemed like a very, very nice guy, and he said something that always struck me, because he was one of the players that I profiled on a story about how exhausted and kind of tired these Overwatch players were. And he said that when the game's too much and the fans are too much, he just goes to the beach and closes his eyes for hours. So I bet right now Harry Hook is on a beach somewhere, closing his eyes, trying to understand how he, on his own volition, ruined his esports career.
Yeah, he's probably with those shithead. What's that beach where they're having like the
you think he's at Huntington
parties?
Beach?
Yeah, he's probably hanging out at Huntington Beach with all the no masters.
With all the masters.
That fits pretty well.
Oh gosh. Well, speaking of things that are following proper 6 feet of distancing and mask awareness, the crew over at Ven, which is a brand new TV network that aims to kind of be like the MTV of esports, so to speak, they just launched this week. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to watch anything, but I'm sure I have a friend on there, a Degon. He's been a great friend of IGC, great friend of Inven Global, so I really wish all the success for that. Degon is absolutely killing it there, I personally think. But I think just also Ven has a very interesting angle that they're trying to do. If you look at what it is, it's pretty much traditional TV shows and network and filming, but it's live streamed. So it's definitely like this weird synergistic thing. They actually have Sasha Grey, former adult film star, but now just overall like influencer. She has a very interesting section called I think Gray Area, in which all sorts of gamers and nerds get to ask very like sensitive and embarrassing questions, and Sasha Grey, who's absolutely fearless, just goes and literally, this is what you should do, or this is what you should do. They're all very, very sexually awkward questions. So there's some really unique programming there. There's also, I saw one, there's this dude, I forgot his name, but he's working out, so it's like a fitness show for gamers. I'm curious if you guys think an MTV of gaming is something that anyone wants, or is something that can even survive, because we've seen many gaming networks try and fail to be that big portal and conglomerate. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think Ven has a chance? Do you think we're going to be talking about Ven in 2 years, 3 years?
I don't really think so. I've literally worked on this like exact kind of show before, where Jimmy Wong was actually also hosting.
Really?
For the reason, I don't know what it is about Jimmy Wong.
Dude, Jimmy's people a hustler,
we need Jimmy Wong on this. He's gonna bring.
Dude, he knows how to get those gigs.
Yeah, it was for Nerdist. We were working on it. It had like Jessica Chobot on it and stuff, and it was the same kind of show. It was all based around like gaming, and it was supposed to just be like this like mainstream thing with like gaming, and we're gonna have all these fun segments that have like video game. Like the main show on there is called like The Download or something, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like we definitely floated that name for the show like down the road. It was just like, it's so like, dude, when you're just like trying to come up with names and stuff, it's so like,
if I had $1 for every time someone tried to make a name for an esports or gaming related show, and they used a term with either within gaming or PC, I'd have at least $2,000. I've seen it many times in my career. The Download, patch notes, it's all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, like that Sasha Grey show or whatever it is sounds like interesting. Like it would probably do like super well on like YouTube or something as like clips or something. But
that's
when you're
the interesting thing then, because Joy, I'm really curious to hear your opinion on this, because Ven, there's so many times I think Ven could have been and should have been just a very popular Twitch channel or a very popular YouTube channel and just like that. But they're obviously not trying to do that. They have their own thing. It's like Ven.tv. You can watch live on Ven. They're trying to break free from Amazon's grips. Do you think there's a chance of that? Do you really think gamers will go anywhere else but Twitch?
Well, I actually do think that because of the streaming wars that started with Ninja going to Mixer, last year?
I can't believe it's only been
pseudo back.
Because I think that like kicked off the streaming wars. Yeah. But I think because of that, and then the switch over to YouTube with the Blizzard Activision leagues tying that in, I do think that Twitch isn't the like be all end all anymore.
It's true.
End all be all. Ooh, I don't know the word.
I think be all end all.
The be all end all,
right? Because when I'm trying to watch or wait for my Call of Duty games to come on YouTube, then I see League of Legends streaming on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna join the other 100K people who are watching League of Legends on YouTube. And so I think I think Twitch is definitely still the high top tier of that, but I think it's very interesting. And I want to say thinking big picture. I'm not sure about the direction of that picture they're going in, but I think it's definitely really thinking outside the box instead of being reliant on a specific platform, and because they are available to watch on Twitch. Right?
And so like you can watch them on Twitch, you can watch them on YouTube, but if you go to their site, that's where like I'm pretty sure they have like some exclusive content there, or I'm pretty sure there's something like they have this really interesting thing in which you can like ask the hosts questions, or you can run they're trying to bring some sorts of engagement to it.
Just my experience with shows like this, there's a very fine line of like what people on Twitch are like willing to see, like production wise. Like it's one thing for like a very successful and popular streamer to have like this like giant setup, like their like equipment is like spectacular and the sets are awesome and their backdrops and all that stuff, but once you like bring that kind of production level into like a studio with everything, it's kind of like a big turnoff, I found, for a lot of people that would normally like watch something on Twitch.
So that's the interesting thing too, because what Ven is doing is they're essentially saying, I'm going to compete with all the gaming content on the internet, but I want to make my margins incredibly high. Like, I want to be trying to make shows that cost tons to produce, and I want to be hiring tons of influencers and so. And it does make me worry, because at the end of the day, when I'm just your average gaming consumer, right? Like, can you make something more compelling than an actual one-to-one insight look into my favorite player stream? Like, can you really make something more compelling than them playing my literal favorite game? They're my literal favorite player, and I can then chat with them and chat with all the... It just seems as if it's so hard to sell what is, 30-minute segment shows to this generation of gamers that I just don't feel like they watch TV like that.
Well, I also feel like, because I've seen comparisons where people are saying like, oh, Ven reminds me of Quibi.
Yeah.
Or, is that how you pronounce it, right?
Quibi, I think.
Quibi, where like the failure of that, of its launch was mainly that they never actually took the time to understand the audience they were trying to market to even understand their viewing habits. And when we're talking about these platforms and these specialized shows, I'm actually reminded, and I feel like that they're being inspired by the streaming TV shows like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, where they have an existing platform and they're creating their own original content for it, but they're like, let's do it but with gaming. And I think that's part of the question then, is like, will you be able to market your platform to reach the same heights as those platforms? Because I think it's kind of a combination of the strategy of Netflix with Twitch, where you've got the gaming element of that, but you're right, there's the very high production value that goes into it. So I think that's the question, is like, will your platform reach those heights? Will it be to the consumer you want to?
And I'll say what your point made me bring up, because as I was watching it, I was kind of taking mental notes because I knew I was going to talk about Ven. I will say that there are two things I think Ven is doing right. I think it was a very smart decision to bring on people like Sasha Grey and bring on, I keep forgetting his name, but that one fitness dude, he has so much energy. I love him. But it's a very smart decision to understand that, yes, gamers play games, but that's not all we do. Like, it's so important that they have content that isn't about video games. Because gamers are also people. We also watch movies. We also have relationships. We love food. So I think that's very, very good. I think that's more of like the stuff that I actually see catching on. Now, I'll say the other positive thing I like about them is that I really think that they try to get authentic people within the space. These are people who have been building up the gaming scene for some time. So it's like automatically they're people who want to see them succeed. Now, the thing I don't like, though, is the overall tone. I don't know. You guys can watch it. You can watch the download. You can watch this. It's just the first episode, so I think they have time to correct it. But boy, their tone is way too crest, white strip, super clean. Everyone's smiling. Everyone looks like day one, they're best friends. It looks so fake. Everyone's trying to be the star. Everyone's trying to, like, literally. I was watching it, and I was like, I was on a call with my friend, Gutex, actually. Shout outs to Gutex. I was on a call with him, and I'm scrolling through Ven, and I was like, here, this is a thing you can do. Just like scroll through the 5 hours of Ven and just point. I guarantee anytime you see a frame of someone, they're going to be smiling wider than you've ever seen. And it's true. You just look. Everyone's smiling.
Very like TV show host.
Yeah, everyone's smiling. And I just feel like in terms of like trying to reach gamers and like Zoomers and all, and like this whole new look generation, that's just not how anyone's feeling right now.
Yeah.
I don't feel like anyone's feeling that. No one's wanting that. No one's like, I just felt as if, and again, it's hard. I've never tried to produce a TV show of this magnitude and this whole network, but I just feel as if anyone's listening, I love you, Ven. There's people on your show that I really want to succeed, but just do something about the tone. Try to get them talking about things they actually care about with maybe a sober mood of interest. Just kind of have interesting things.
When I was looking this up this morning, because I hadn't even heard of it until you brought it up on Slack.
Yeah.
I came across like this CNET like coverage about it and stuff. For like, they're poised to do like the best of all the video game shows, and it was so like reading through it, it was like, analysts say it's never been a better time to like do this kind of project, and I'm like, man, I'm sure like all of this just makes so much sense on paper. You know, you see like video games are just doing gangbusters in quarantine and stuff, and it's really showing like the potential of like where it could be and everything like that. And and I'm sure it's just like people that deal with like there's no like surprises to them, you know, like the movie and TV industry, everything's like so to the books and predictable that there's like
no edge. That's the word. I think there's no edge to the show. That's it. There needs to be an edge. So you like, honestly, say what you want about Slasher, but you need someone like Slasher. So I don't know what's going to happen. Like there needs to be an unpredictability, because when I watch these guys, it's like no one's going to say anything. No one's
throw some stank on it. Get it funky, you know?
Get it funky. I like that. Well,
I want to be like, what was that? Like, ugh.
As to say, Ven, if you're looking for a podcast, no, I'm kidding. Do you guys have any last words on Ven's last thought on Ven? Will you guys try to watch it? Like, do you actually? That's one question. Are we even the target audience for Ven, or are we too close to gaming? Like, are we too in this space that we could never watch something like Ven? Maybe Ven is for the absolute casual.
But if it's for the absolute casual, I don't know. Like, if it's for the absolute casual, would they even like tune into this? Is it something that they would be interested in, like, at all? Like,
I think they would, because the absolute casual has just for the first time embraced their identity as a gamer. They're like, I'm a gamer. I love gaming. I want to watch gaming-related shows. And to them, maybe all this is new and fresh. But to me, I'm like, this is just G4 TV. Like, you know, to me, I'm like, I've seen all of this before.
That's the other thing with G4 TV is making like its comeback and stuff. And at least there's some like pedigree to that brand, you know? Yeah. I don't know. I think this is going to fade into obscurity before it rockets into like cataclysmic success.
Come on. There's some smart minds behind this. You know what? We should plan a viewing party. That's what we should do. We should have a live stream Ven viewing party, similar to what's that one show where those people just talk over the movie the whole time? Is that old show?
Sure. Mystery Science
Yes, Mystery Science Theater. Mystery Science Theater.
You'll tune in. Nick will be giving his commentary, and you'll just see like a cardboard cutout of me in a chair. Be like, yeah, this is awesome, right, Eric?
Sounds good. Like, yeah. Don't worry, Joy. This is just some extremely nerdy, lame, old guy stuff. Don't even worry about. I can't believe I just said Mystery Science Theater on a podcast in 2020.
They rebooted it on Netflix. It's kind of.
Did they?
Kind of back in, yeah. It's like 2 years ago or something.
Anyways, Ven, good job. I hope that you raise in Ven
We wish you the best.
I hope you raise our search engine optimization somehow because we share the same letters. So I actually hope Ven does succeed. So more people mistype their name and then go to invenglobal.com. That's what I hope.
Yeah.
Always thinking. Well, guys, wow, we are almost out of time. Joy, I hope you're on this podcast more often because I have lost complete track of time. I've had such a good time just chilling, just chatting with you guys. Now, I said at the end of every show, you guys know we have wins and fails. And, I mean, I feel like I already used all of my fails, but I'm going to actually give a fail now to the outraged LEC and Riot fan base that went all hog wild over Neom and the Saudi Arabia thing, which is, like, first of all, good. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you went hog wild on that. That shouldn't happen. But you do realize that, that CSGO league? I think it's called Blast Series? Yeah. Yeah, Blast Series is still 100% partnered with them. Like, it's still going to happen. Like, Blast Series is still definitely happening in Neom, and no one cares. Just like, no one cares. No one says anything. There is no uproar. There's no buzz. So when I see stuff like that, it just makes me question the whole thing. It makes me question, like, were you actually outraged about the whole thing, or was this just a very convenient snowball momentum?
Are they different communities though? Because I think if you're the existing LEC audience and the existing LEC hosts saying, "I don't want to be associated with this. I will take away from your viewership if you don't do that," right? Versus maybe they don't even watch Blast.
Well, I agree. Obviously, the people that work for Riot, that's completely different. But my fail is towards the esports fans in general. Because the esports fans in general sometimes like to act as if they are much more noble than they are. Meanwhile, you have the same bad things happening in a game that you don't care about, so then you don't care about. So I just feel as if, like, there's a difference between trying to support the LGBTQ community and all of that, and just wanting to take a dump on Riot. And I just feel as if there are some fans that do that. And that is my fail. My fail is if you're going to call someone to a question over an ethical concern, I think you should try to do the whole thing. I think you should really, really look at the other stuff you're fans of, and you should really look at the whole gambit. That is my fail. And I guess my win will be actually Inven Global. My win is Inven Global because our CEO gave everyone 2 days off this week, so that's fantastic.
Lovely.
Yes, that was very, very nice. That was very nice. Our CEO he's a very kind man. He saw what Riot did, felt inspired. We're not as big as Riot, so we can't take a week off, but we can take 2 days off, right? We can take 2 days off, so that was nice. Thanks for that.
I got a win and a fail.
Win and a fail, Eric. What is your win and what is your fail?
Sony had a State of Play stream today. It's like their version of like the Nintendo Direct thing, and I wasn't expecting anything cool to come out of it, but we got some really cool stuff.
It's a win? Sony win?
Yeah, I mean, Hitman's gonna have like a VR where you can play all of the maps in VR, even like the older ones, which
that's
super
pretty
fun
cool,
to do. And Spelunky 2 got a release date, which
nice.
I love Spelunky, so I'm happy that it comes out in like a month.
Definitely underrated IP. Definitely underrated.
And then my fail is a carryover from last week when I predicted that the Fast and Furious Crossroads video game that gets released tomorrow will be met by embarrassing review scores because it looks like a piece of shit.
And were you right?
The reviews haven't come out yet, which makes me think that the embargo lifts at like midnight tonight.
Dude,
and it's usually not a good sign if that's the case. So.
I want, for some reason, for this game to be so wildly successful now. It would be so great to hold this over your head next podcast. That apparently
I was on that Crucible skepticism. What happened to that game? It reverted back into early access. It was so bad after its full release.
So Joy, please give us your wins and fails, but if you can, try to spend as long as possible because this podcast has been so fun and we haven't had a chance to catch up in forever. So I'm really trying to squeeze out the last bits of this podcast.
All right. Well, I think honestly on my fail side, my biggest fail, that I could think of, we already talked about. I'm still going to say Harry Hook, not just doubling back.
Huge fail.
Not tripling down.
Huge fail.
Not even apologizing. That's my big fail of the week.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of education in that.
Yeah.
Would you also extend that fail to the person who was supposed to train Harry Hook on media training? And this is a twofer. There's two people who failed by that.
On the win side of that, which is not my win, but on the winning side of that, I will say it's yet another example that I can use in my own media training. Because every time we have issues that come up like this, then I can point to and say, there are real life consequences to your real life action. So
Truly, that's
the win of that side, is that it just helps make my job a little easier with a little more real life examples.
Dude, Harry...
Ideally, it would not have happened in the first place.
Dude, Harry Hook just became a page in every single marketing and PR and community managers, like 101. In which
I was going to say, he's going to be in like a textbook in like a year.
That is so funny.
Don't be this guy.
Gosh. Well, anyways, guys, this has been episode 27 of the Inven Global Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. You can find more Inven Global Esports talk, news, and content at www.invenglobal.com. Thank you, HyperX, for sponsoring this podcast. These mics are so great. You have no idea. I love them. They're fantastic. I want to thank Joy Chao for being here. You can follow Joy just at Joy Chao, CHAO. It's the most clean Twitter handle I've ever seen. You can follow me at Nick Durazio3RD, and you can follow Eric at Winko Stainless. And you know what I always say? Cyberbully Eric, so he tweets more. Eric doesn't use social media. That's probably why he's so happy, to be honest, because he doesn't use
very
social
healthy.
media.
Good for your mental.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's a podcast host without social media.
I just read an article for the site too, so go check that out.
He actually did. You can read Eric's top 10 list of games on our site, and it's probably one of my favorite pieces of content on the site right now. Last thing too, if you are listening, September 17th through September 20th, Inven Global is having our Inven Global Esports and Academia Summit. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Panels, networking. It's going to be exactly like what we did earlier this month, only it's academia and it's esports and it's collegiate. So we're going to have a lot of smart people talking as opposed to me. Anyways, this has been episode 27.
Joy was on a panel for our last conference.
I literally was on it. Yes, I know. But listen, Joy kills it. That's why I trust when Joy's here. When I say smart people instead of me, it was because I was on the collegiate panel. And you remember how that panel went. It was this weird circus of energy, and I don't understand what it was.
Super weird. Yeah.
It had such great energy. I love
Good.
that one.
Thank you, Joy. You know what? Sometimes I'm just insecure about all of the thriving vocal energy that I give to anything I'm on. So you know what, Joy?
Well, everyone on that panel had so much energy.
Much. Oh, well, that would be the cocaine. We sent all of them a little milligram. We said, listen, save this to 3:30 when you guys are online. Snort it and let's go. Let's talk about academia.
All right.
Boy, that would be fun if it was true, but it's not. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for joining us on another podcast episode. We'll catch you later. Goodbye.
Hey, guys.